Sir, explain to me this publication. You've instructed the Secretary of State, LaFalle, to publish this law on Monday. Is he going to do it?
Well, it remains to be seen yet. That is a common procedure when we ask for one working day. That's typically been the case even with previous governors. By law, he has up to 10 working days to publish this law that I signed into law today, and that he actually signed. It just still has to be published. But he has not made it clear yet for sure whether or not he'll do it on Monday or whether he'll wait the full 10 days. One way or the other, though, the bottom line is it was signed into law this morning, and it now has become the law of the state of Wisconsin.
Is there any way that is there any suggestion at all because that he won't publish it within 10 days, or he'll never publish it, that he'll essentially pocket veto it or sit on it? Is there any possibility that could happen? Because he's a Democrat, you're a Republican.
He cannot. The most he can do is delay publication for the full 10 working days, but it's largely a ceremonial condition. What effectively made it the law was me signing it today, signing it this morning at about 9:30 Central Time. And again, this is the formality of going through with publishing this, but it's not something he has a choice in doing. It's something that's required by the law. The question is, does he do it Monday, or does he wait the full 10 days?
All right, and of course on Wednesday there'll be a hearing on whether or not the procedure is constitutional or not, and a judge will decide that at some point. All right, now, in light of the fact
it is very clear to me that it's very clear that it is. The bottom line is the Senate Chief Clerk, which has worked for both Democrats and Republicans multiple times, someone that's well respected by both political parties, very clearly told the Senate that what they did was legal and proper. And for any of the people who've been complaining about the procedure, the reality is this measure has been there for literally a month. And for 3 weeks, Senate Democrats have been out of the state. There's no reason they rushed this. The only reason they didn't have a chance to vote on it and that their representatives, or the people they represent, were left out in the cold was because they chose not to do their job and vote in the state capitol.
Right. In light of the signing of the bill, the 1,500 people who were targeted for possible layoff, are they now out of the way? I mean, they now have their jobs. They're safe. They're not going to get the pink slips, at least not now. I mean, I realize if they go out and commit a crime, they'll lose their jobs. But based on this event.
They are absolutely safe. This morning, right as I was preparing to sign the bill, we've put out notice to the unions that those 1,500 jobs are no longer at risk of layoffs, and the 10,000 to 12,000 jobs that would have been at risk are no longer at risk. So what we essentially did with this budget reform was protect middle-class jobs and middle-class taxpayers. That's really what this is all about. And at the same time, we're going to make our government work better in the state of Wisconsin. When Mitch Daniels did this 6 years ago, when he reformed collective bargaining in Indiana, the state became more effective, more efficient, and ultimately it was better for not only the taxpayers in terms of cost, it was better in terms of the people who wanted good services, and better for the workers who are doing a great job, because they're the people who benefit the most from this.
Now, I realize you're the chief executive. You're in charge of Wisconsin, but Stephen Stuyvesant, is this now a bigger political issue that you think will become part of the dialogue in 2012 in public unions?
Well, I don't know about the next election, but I do think it will be part of the dialogue across the country in the next year or two. Nearly every state in this country faces a major deficit. And obviously the federal government faces a deficit bigger than any of us are facing, not only in dollars, but in terms of percentage. My hope is that leaders will see across the country that you can do what you say you're going to do in an election. You can stand up and make the tough decisions, make a commitment to the future so that our children don't face even more dire consequences than we're facing today. That's really what this is all about. You know, we led the nation back in the 90s under Tommy Thompson when it came to welfare reform. We can lead the nation in Wisconsin when it comes to fiscal and budgetary reform as well.
All right. Now, the Democrats are pretty mad at you, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. But anytime you take on the status quo, Greta, you know, for 8 years before this, I was a local official, a county executive in Milwaukee County, of all places, a county that has never elected a Republican before, and yet I was elected 3 times because we identified our problems, we identified solutions, and then we did what so many politicians failed to do. We delivered on those promises. And what I think now more than ever, what people want are leaders who in times of crisis stand up and tell the truth, provide leadership, and get the job done. And that's what not only I've done, but what those courageous leaders, Scott Fitzgerald, Jeff Fitzgerald, and others in the State Assembly and State Senate did, including one independent, who said enough is enough. It's time to start balancing our budget, and it's time to do it while we can protect middle-class jobs and protect middle-class property taxpayers, and that's what we're doing right now. But the Democrats, or at least the liberal ones, don't want that. But I think in the end, they're going to find that the voters in this state, every day we go forward from this point on, they're going to see this was the right thing to do.